Hello viewers, in my last few lectures I have discussed with you structures of glucose, and we know D-glucose actually exists in three forms: the open chain form, which is represented by Fischer's projections, and the two cyclic forms alpha D plus glucose and beta D plus glucose. The open chain structure is able to explain few properties of glucose, that is, glucose will undergo oxidation reactions, reduction reactions, and it will result in the formation of ozazone on reaction with excess of phenylhydrazine. Whereas the cyclic structures explain the phenomena of mutarotation and as to why glucose results in the formation of two methyl glucosides on reaction with methanol in dry HCl. The reason is that these three forms exist in equilibrium in the aqueous medium, and as you can see on your screens, I have shown you the three structures of glucose. First one is the alpha D glucose, second is the D glucose, and the third structure is the beta D glucose. These cyclic structures are represented in Haworth projections, which we have discussed in great details in our previous lectures. And what you have to remember now, that in alpha form, the CH2OH group and the OH are trans to each other, whereas in beta form they are cis to each other. And these three forms exist in the aqueous medium in equilibrium. So now what happens is that when we dissolve either of the forms of these forms in aqueous medium in water, they will undergo, if I am dissolving alpha D glucose, it will undergo ring opening, in which case the water will act as a catalyst and we will get a open chain structure. And then this open chain structure will undergo again cyclization and it may result into beta form. So as you can see on your screens, the structure is that of the ring is 6-membered ring. Now we have to establish that this structure is 6-membered. Till now in all the reactions we have taken that the structure is 6-membered. But this can even be 6-membered or 5 members. So we'll have to discuss the methods by which we can establish the size of the glucose ring. So far we have studied that in cyclic structure for alpha and beta D glucose and the glucosides, what we find that oxygen connects C1 and C5 carbons. In other words, as I've already said, that these compounds are represented as containing a 6-membered ring. So as you can see on your screens, here I've shown you the structure of cyclic structure, and this we've shown in form of conformations. That is, in first structure we have shown the structure of D-glucose, that is the cyclic structure, the glucopyranose structure. And here in the second example you can see that it is methyl D glucoside, and again it is what? It is a pyranose structure. It is known as methyl D glucopyranoside. But please pay attention here. Here the OH is indicated by a wavy line, and similarly here the methoxy group is indicated by a wavy line. What does this wavy line mean here? It means that we are not indicating the stereochemistry of the molecule. That I am not indicating here whether the molecule is alpha anomer or it is the beta anomer. We've taken the general stereochemistry. And now you know if this OH would have been on the lower side of the ring, it would represent the alpha form, and if it is on the top side or if it is at the axial position, then it is the alpha form, and if it is at the equatorial position, then it is the beta form. Similar is the case here, that we've ignored the stereochemistry here. But now the question arises, so there is another possibility. What is the other possibility? That we may even have a 5-membered ring in which the oxygen will join C1 to C4. So when we look into the structure, the open chain structure of glucose, what we find that there are two possibilities. One possibility is that the OH group on the fifth carbon reacts with the CHO group, resulting in a hemiacetal, and this will give rise to a six-membered ring, which is known as pyranose ring. And this is your alpha form because these two groups are trans to each other, and this is the beta form in which these two groups are cis to each other. Whereas if the OH was on the fourth carbon was involved in hemiacetal formation, that is OH undergoes nucleophilic addition reaction with the CHO resulting in hemiacetal at the fourth carbon, then it would result in a furanose ring, that is it would have 5 atoms in its ring, that is 4 carbon atoms, and the fifth one would be the oxygen. So now the question arises that we have to establish what is the size of this ring. So we can use two methods to determine the ring size of sugars, and in this case I have taken glucose. The two methods that we can use are methylation method. This is based on the work of Haworth, or periodic acid oxidation method, which is based on the work of Hudson. So now we have to, first I'll be taking the methylation method. So what is done in methylation method? First glucose is converted into its glucoside, and then that glucoside is made to undergo ether formation by reaction with methanol in presence of NaOH. In that case, all the hydroxyl groups are converted into methoxy groups. And then we carry out the hydrolysis of this compound, and the position of the OH tells us as to which OH was involved in ring formation. So let us discuss this in detail. So we can start the reaction either with alpha or the beta D glucose. So whichever enomer we are taking, that on refluxing with methanol and dry HCl yields methyl alpha and beta D glucosides, depending. If we are starting with alpha enomer, we will get alpha methyl glucoside, and if we are starting with beta, we will get beta D positive methyl glucoside. So this is what I have shown here, that this results in the acetal formation. So what happens here is that there are 5 hydroxyl groups here but we are carrying out acetylation reaction, that is reaction is carried out in acidic medium. What happens is, this is the overall reaction, the anomeric OH reacts with methanol, resulting in formation of methyl alpha D glucopyranoside and methyl beta D glucopyranoside. So when we look into the pyranosides here, what we know here is this is the alpha. In alpha you have to remember the methoxy group is at axial position, and in beta the methoxy group is at the equatorial position. The second thing that you have to note here is that D-glucose is a reducing compound, whereas when we talk of the glucopyranoside structures, these are non-reducing because we do not have a free hydroxyl group or a potential one, so which can be then converted into an aldehyde group. This group does not undergo ring opening in aqueous medium. So now how does this reaction take place? So what we find that when we carry out the reaction of glucose with methanol in HCl, it is an example in which the acetylation takes place and the OH group is converted into acetyl. As I've said that when we treat D-glucose we reflux it with methanol and dry HCl, it results in the formation of methyl alpha D glucopyranoside and methyl beta D glucopyranoside. So when we look into the structure of glucose, glucose is a non-reducing molecule, whereas reducing molecule, whereas glucopyranosides are non-reducing. Now when we treat this methyl D glucoside with dimethyl sulfate and NaOH, this will result in methylation of the other 4 groups which are present in the molecule, and it will result in the formation of methyl tetra-O-methyl D-glucoside. So as you can see on your screens here, I've shown you a general reaction. In this general reaction, what happens is that when we carry out the reaction with dimethyl sulfate in presence of NaOH, this reaction is an example of nucleophilic substitution reaction in which the remaining OH groups are converted into methoxy groups, that is, they are converted into ether. And what we get here is methyl 2,3,4,6 tetra-O-methyl D-glucoside. What does O mean? That the methyl group is attached to oxygen. Capital D means that the OH group in the open chain structure was on the right hand side at the highest numbered asymmetric carbon. What really happens in this reaction? In the first step, the OH, that is the base, will abstract a H from the hydroxyl group, and in this process we get an anion, and this now glucoside, methyl glucosides, acts as a nucleophile through negative charge on oxygen, and it reacts with the methyl group, and we get it is converted, the OH group is converted into methoxy group, as it is shown here, that O negative is acting as a nucleophile. It is reacting with the electrophilic carbon of the dimethyl sulfate, and what we get here is a ether. One of the OH is converted into a ether group. So on carrying out repeated methylations, what we get, that all of the OH hydroxyl groups are converted into methoxy groups. So what is the product now? It is methyl. We are differentiating this methyl because this is methyl is a part of the acetyl linkage, and then we have 2,3,4,6 tetra-O-methyl. So these 4 methyl groups which we are indicating as 2,3,4,6, these are the ether linkages, ether groups, and we get O-methyl D plus glucoside. So now if you look back into the structure, what we find that methoxy group is attached to each carbon. So methoxy group is attached to the anomeric carbon, which is indicated by green. Then it is attached to the second carbon. It is attached to the third carbon. It is attached to the fourth carbon. But the methoxy group is not attached to the fifth carbon. So what does it indicate? It indicates that and methoxy group is now attached to every carbon in glucose except the one joined to C1 through the acetyl linkage. So which is that carbon? As I have already shown you, that carbon is the fifth carbon. So what does this indicate? It indicates that the ring structure may be 6-membered. And if it is 6-membered, that means there will be methoxy group on every carbon except C5, because it is this C5 carbon, the hydroxyl group on this C5 carbon, which is involved in cyclic hemiacetal formation. So now what we are going to do is, after we've carried out the methylation of all the hydroxyl groups which are present here, and as I've already said that the 4 of these groups are the ether groups and 1 is involved in acetyl linkage. So now when we hydrolyze this, that is 2,3,4,6 tetra-O-methyl D-glucoside is hydrolyzed with dilute HCl, we get tetra-O-methyl D-glucose is obtained, and this is a cyclic hemiacetal structure. So as I've shown here that we are carrying out the hydrolysis in acidic medium, and when we carry out the hydrolysis in acidic medium, the methoxy group, that is the group which is in the acetyl linkage, is converted into OH group, which is indicated by a blue bond. Right. So when we bring about the hydrolysis, you know that ether linkages are resistant to hydrolysis and the acetyl linkage is more susceptible to hydrolysis. So when we carry out the hydrolysis in acidic medium, it is only the methoxy group, which is of the anomeric carbon, that is, which is involved in acetyl linkage, is hydrolyzed and we get a hydroxyl group. So what are we doing here? We are going from a non-reducing molecule to a reducing molecule. And now in this case, now we have a OH at the anomeric carbon. That means this can now undergo ring opening. So when this cyclic hemiacetal is, now you know that we are carrying out the reactions in an aqueous medium. So in this case, what will happen, this cyclic hemiacetal will undergo ring opening, which I have discussed in great details in my previous lectures, and it will be converted into open chain structure. And then when you look into the open chain structure, what do you find? That we have an aldehyde group in the open chain structure, which is at the first carbon. Then at the second, third, fourth and sixth carbon, we have the methoxy groups. It is only at the fifth carbon we have the OH group. So this clearly indicates that it is this OH which is involved in ring formation, that is, it is resulting in the formation of hemiacetal. So as I've already said, that it will contain, the open chain structure contains a aldehyde group and it has 4 methoxy groups and it has a free unmethylated OH group. And please remember, this unmethylated OH group will be present in that carbon which was originally involved in hemiacetal ring formation. And as I've already said, that this OH, in case of glucose derivative, that is the aldehyde derivative, what we find that this OH is on the fifth carbon. That means it is the OH which is on the fifth carbon which is involved in cyclic hemiacetal formation, resulting in 6-membered ring. So that means the structure that we have proposed till now, that the glucose has pyranose ring structure, is correct. But now this ring structure again is substantiated if we carry by a reaction of tetra-O-methyl D-glucose when we carry out the reaction with strong nitric acid. So when we carry out the reaction with strong nitric acid, that is the oxidation reaction, we will find out with the series of reactions that the unmethylated OH is present on C5 group. So when you look into the structure, so this is your closed chain structure, and in the solution it is existing in equilibrium with the open chain structure. And in this open chain structure, what do we find? That the first carbon is the aldehyde group and at the fifth carbon we have the hydroxyl group. Now when we carry out the oxidation of this molecule with nitric acid, concentrated nitric acid, what we find that the aldehyde group at the first carbon is oxidized to a carboxylic group and the hydroxyl group on the fifth carbon is oxidized to a keto group. So what do we get here? We get a keto acid. But we know that since nitric acid is a strong oxidizing agent, it will bring about further oxidation of the keto group. So that means now, and we also know that when we carry out the oxidation of the keto group, then the bond between the keto group and the carbons which are immediately attached to it on either side breaks, and we will get 2 fragments. And these 2 fragments, this we've already studied, and you're also familiar that the oxidation takes place according to Popoff's rule. So when we talk of the final oxidation, that means the bond will cleave between the carbonyl and the adjacent group which is present to it. So what will happen in this case? We will get oxidation products, and in these oxidation products will be mixture of 2 dicarboxylic acids which will be differing only in the length of 1 carbon atom. So when we carry out the oxidation, what we find that we are getting trimethoxyglutaric acid, which is a result when the bond will cleave between C5 and 6 carbon atom, and then we will also get dimethoxysuccinic acid, which results due to cleavage between C4 and C5 carbon atom. So as you can see on your screens, we have a keto acid here, and now when you look, now the possibility of cleavage is that the cleavage may take place between the C4th and the C5th carbon atom. So when this cleavage will take place, it will result in a dicarboxylic acid, which will be dimethoxysuccinic acid. And if the cleavage takes place between C5 and 6th carbon atom, then in that case we will get a trimethoxyglutaric acid. So this clearly indicates that the carbonyl group at the 5th carbon is being cleaved. So once we get the fragments, we have identified the fragments. So now we come to know that this OH group, the carbonyl group, is present at 5th position. So what you have to now remember, that if the location of the carbonyl group is at the 5th carbon, it will indicate that the size of the heterocyclic ring is 6-membered, that is, it is a Parenos ring. And if this carbonyl group is at 4th carbon, then the ring will contain 5 atoms in it, out of which 4 will be carbon and which 1 will be oxygen. So as a result of which we will get a Furanose ring. So that means if we are getting a mixture of 5 carbons and 4 carbon acids, this could only be formed by the cleavage on either side of C5 atom. That means now we do both the experiments were conducted, and what was found, that the products which were formed as a result of further oxidation of keto acid were having 2 fragments in which there were 4 carbon atoms in one fragment and 5 carbon atoms in the other fragment. So this indicated very clearly that the fragmentation was taking on the either side of C5 carbon. So this clearly indicates that it is the C5 carbon in this case that carries the carbonyl oxygen of the intermediate keto acid, and it is the C5 carbon that will carries the free OH group in tetra-O-methyl D-glucose, and hence it is the C5 that is involved in acetyl ring of the original glucoside, as you can see. So that means the structure of the glucoside is a 6-membered ring in which 5 atoms are carbon atoms and the 6th atom is the oxygen atom. So therefore this ring is known as, this molecule is known as methyl glucoside. And here again we've not specified whether it is the alpha form or the beta form. So this very clearly indicates the series of reactions that I have discussed, that molecule is having, glucose molecule is having 6-membered ring. And for this I have now consulted the references, the books by Bruce, McMurray, Finar, Morrison and Boyd and Solomon, and you can also refer to these books for studying further these chapters, this topic. Thank you.